Hello, my name is Navigator, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the horrifying history of Monongah Mine. Now, a lot of you guys may know Monongah Mine as the place where the Wendigo Colossus slash a colossal problem event spawns. And, you come here and you shoot at that big guy named Earl, and then you get some loot, and that's kind of it. But if you take a closer look at this location and a closer look at this place in real life, it turns out that honestly, this isn't really the first time something really batshit has happened within the depths of these mines. So what I'm going to do today is just kind of casually and hopefully briefly go over the real life and fallout history of Monongah Mine so that you guys will understand that this place is most definitely cursed. So what I want to do first is talk about the history of Monongah Mine in real life, leading up to an event that honestly probably put this mine in the game. It was something that was very, shocking, disastrous, and tragic. And, given all the events that happened in the Fallout universe, it's no surprise that Bethesda probably included this location in here as kind of an homage to that. So I'll stop rambling. What I'm going to do is just briefly, again, talk about the history of Monongah Mine. So, through my research, what I have determined is that there was a terrible, terrible, terrible mining disaster in Monongah. Now, if you guys don't know, this game is set in West Virginia, and Monongah is actually a real place here. Monongah is an abbreviation of the Monongah River, which is a river that runs predominantly through West Virginia and into parts of other states. So it's not really based on anything, there's no like Lenape origin or some shit like that, but it is just an abbreviation of that river. Just a little fun fact, and actually that's going to be a side note into a sidebar into my upcoming video. So with that out of the way, I just want to I'm just going to be really casual about this, give you guys what I've researched, what I've gone through. Okay. So, in 1907, there was a mining explosion that happened within the depths of the mine, and it killed just around 315 people, somewhere in there. They believe that there was some methane or some kind of gas, carbon monoxide, something like that, in the tunnels, and either a miner's lamp, it could have been a cigarette, something like that, just lit it up, and it caused a massive chain of explosions within the mine, either trapping or, fucking killing everybody. It was a really, really terrible thing, and a fun fact, actually, a lot of Italian immigrants were within the mine, and there is a monument in a town in Italy to the Monongah Mine disaster. So yeah, that's kind of I guess the scary part of the real world history of this. From what I looked at, obviously after the explosion happened, the mine was closed down for a little bit, but I believe in real life they did continue to use it, and it could possibly still be used today for one reason or another. But given the fact that the Fallout universe, kind of sidelines from our universe in the 1940s, 50s, that event has happened, and obviously the timeline for this game is something totally different. So what we find out here, let me just pump out a photo mode there. What we find out here through a terminal is that sometime around the Great War, there was actually I guess a takeover. Maybe not a takeover, but there was some kind of business transaction between whoever owned Monongah Mine and the Hornwright Industrial Mining Company. So what we find out through this terminal here in the trailer just outside of the entrance to the mine is the notes of a guy named Dean Sykes, who is the mine supervisor, and he goes through his experience, bringing in all these robots to the mine and extracting the coal. I'm not really going to go into a lot of these. I'll just give you the abbreviated version, but I figured I'd point it out so you guys would, maybe come here and check it out for yourself. So basically what happens is they take over the mine. All the human workers are, kaput, and the robots come in here, and the robots are very, very efficient with gathering materials. So what ends up happening is only within a couple months, they take all of the coal from the mine, and the mine is, registered useless. There's nothing really else you can do. So obviously the townsfolk were upset, and if you've played this game and you go to like the Miners Monument, which I believe is actually a reference to the 1907 disaster. I'm not entirely sure though. I should actually look that up. But anyways, if you look around, there's like like fuck robots, all that, like humans are better than robots, whatever. The protest signs. There was a big big problem with the I guess, emergence of new robot workers in a lot of industries, and people were not upset about it. This is a thing that is, gone through the whole Fallout series. People were not happy with Robco taking their jobs. Those robots took our jobs. I don't fucking know. But yes, people were rightfully upset about that, and that actually leads us into the next part of Monongah's history, and the part that is obvious to you, and that is going to be Earl Williams. So, if we come back into the mine here, you will see, once I get here, that the mine is actually completely closed. That is because of the colossal problem event. Obviously, when you finish that, the mine collapses on itself, and you have to escape, and you can't really get back in. So the only real piece of lore that we have outside the mine is that terminal that I just showed you. So what I want to talk about is the story of Earl Williams. From what I read, he one night just before the mine was closing. So again, the Hornwrights, they extracted all of the coal from the mines, and they were pulling their auto robots, whatever the fuck you want to call them, the auto miners, these fuckers over here, they were pulling them out of the mine, and I guess Earl and a couple of his friends one night decided to, go down into the mine drunkenly. They were messing around, and there was, some kind of explosion or some kind of disaster. Maybe the mine collapsed. I kind of forgot what it said, but they ended up getting stuck in the mine. That's the important thing, and that's kind of the whole reason behind him becoming a Wendigo. Obviously, if you know anything about Wendigos, they are humans that eat human flesh, so we can assume that since he was trapped down there in the mine with a couple of his other friends and probably some remains of God knows whatever was left down there, he eventually became the, towering, fucking disgusting thing that he is today, being the colossal Wendigo. So that's kind of basically just the history of Monongah Mine, and I wanted to get this out there for you guys so you know that it's almost like this place is cursed. 1907, there's this crazy disaster, then, what is it? I want to say 100+ years later, all the people here, their jobs are removed. On top of that, all the coal is removed within a couple months. So, what's the point of this place even being around? And then on top of all of that, and on top of a fucking nuclear disaster, this guy ends up getting stuck in this mine and becomes this horrifying fucking grotesque monster with 3 heads, the colossal Wendigo. So this place definitely has a not too friendly track record. And I was thinking about it yesterday, and I actually, without being in the Fallout realm, or at least in the Fallout sphere, I actually came upon the Monongah mining disaster, and I was like, holy shit, I gotta make a video about this. So I'm trying to make this as abbreviated as possible. I didn't want to make this some long-ass video, but we're not exactly done yet. I came here today to, poke around, see if there was any other information I could find. I found that terminal, but I also found something else. So, let me come and show you guys this. Behind Monongah Mine, there is this small little township. I honestly never noticed this before. You can't access any of these buildings, but there are 4 buildings here. There's, some loot, some signage. There's a gray tortoise cigarette sign on one of these. Let's show that off here. Yeah, right there, the gray tortoise sign. There's a plane crashed into this one. Not too much going on, but this first house, this first red house, the one that is closest to the mine, it has a bird's eye view of it. You're looking right down on there. There's something very, very interesting in this house. And if you guys are familiar with the Fallout series, you will know that there is an entity that is typically associated with bad luck and disaster. This was specifically highlighted in Fallout 4, and if you guys, really did all the missions, looked at every locations, even went underwater, you will remember a ship. And that ship was carrying mannequins. Now, you might say to yourself, mannequins? Well, I don't really use those. They don't really scare me. I put my clothes on them and they stand in my camp. Well, within the Fallout universe, mannequins are almost cursed. And on top of that, they almost seem to come alive in a lot of situations. There are a lot of locations, a lot of, disaster ones, including the sunken ship, which I mentioned. And the mannequins are always lurking around, always doing something nefarious. So, coming back to this house, unsurprisingly, what we have here on the top floor, and I know I'm really bringing you guys on the edge of your seats, none other than a mannequin. right here in the corner. And also, unsurprisingly, just under the collapsed part of the house. Almost like it radiates bad luck. Like this house was, just collapsing because of its presence. And look at it. Look at it, folks. You see where it's looking at? With that almost smile on its face. I wish I could show that off a little bit more. But look, it's almost like she's smiling and she's looking right at Monongah Mine. So, folks, that might not be the most accurate representation of the disastrous history, or sorry, most accurate answer to the disastrous history of Monongah Mine, but I figured it was a nice little fun and possibly true aspect of Fallout that could tie into this. And as a whole, I think this story and the history of Monongah Mine are actually pretty cool. They're pretty important to American history in general, and I bet you didn't fucking know about it. Maybe you read that terminal a couple years back during the beta, some shit like that, but yeah. I have another video coming later today going over, well, actually, I'm not going to reveal that. You guys can wait on that. But I really hope you enjoyed this. I spent all night, kind of research and stuff like that. I know that it was pretty casual, but I tried to make, try to make the video as layman as I possibly could so, you guys could understand this pretty easily and I could be pretty friendly and entertaining. All right. I'm going to stop rambling. I'm sorry for still being stuffed up. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I got to get more sleep. I got to do something. I have no idea. But my name is Navigator. Have a nice day. Take care.